What's up, everybody? It's Ox Trades here, back with another crypto video. Since I did one last week, um, not to say that I told you so and that I was right. It's already been a week. It's only been a week, but kind of saying I told you so and I was right. Last week, when I recorded my video, it was Sunday, so we were sitting at about $90,000 on Bitcoin when I said that pretty much a crash was inevitable. And since that we had already tested this 80,000, once we broke out of this bear flag, I thought that $75,000 was going to happen fast. To be honest with you, even I didn't expect us to go from $90,000 to $75,000 in a week. I thought it was going to take quite a bit longer than that. I thought maybe a month. But here we are with Bitcoin being down 8. It was down like 9% earlier, but down 8% right now. Um, Guys, this is the line in the sand. This is exactly what I was talking about in the video last week. This $75,000 level, which is these previous all-time highs, previous all-time high resistance. Let me just lower this slightly. This previous all-time high resistance flipped support. So you can see here resistance, 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 flip support, um, flipped support again. But if we crack this like I spoke about last week, I mean $50,000 is going to happen on Bitcoin, unless we get a break and reclaim, which then talk about a little bit of other things. But like this picture perfect bear flag came into fruition, played out perfectly, and here we are with this dump. You know, I know that crypto traders like to just think that nothing applies to crypto and that crypto is its own thing, but crypto runs off of the same technical functions that stocks do. They run off of supply and demand. If people aren't interested in the supply and if there's not enough demand to fill that supply, it's going to go down. And as of right now, people aren't that interested in risk-on assets, and crypto probably is the most risk-on asset. And like I was discussing last week, um, like the S&P and Nasdaq really haven't even started selling off yet, and Bitcoin is down 40%. And just so you guys can see what I'm saying, ES, which is the S&P 500 future, is down a whopping. I mean, we just made new all-time highs this week, by the way. Down 1% from all-time highs, and meanwhile, Bitcoin is down 40. So just beware. I do think that you're starting to get into that territory where starting to dollar cost average into long positions isn't a bad idea. Starting at the 74, all the way down into 50. Bitcoin, too many people hold Bitcoin, too many big players hold Bitcoin. It's never going to go to zero, no matter what some people think. I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I just do think that it was overvalued when it was at 126,000. And it was bound to crash. And like I said, historically, when Bitcoin crashes, it crashes hard. Like down here, when it came down 80% from here, it was down 50%. Here, it was down 35%. Like Bitcoin historically, when it crashes, it it crashes. It's not it's not uncommon for Bitcoin to crash 50 to 70%. I mean, even you can remember in here when in 2017 during the first thing, it went from 17,000 all the way back down 3,000, went down 80%. Again, in right before COVID, it went down 70%. And from 2021 to 2022, it went down 75%. So, it's to me, it's not going to be insane to see Bitcoin at 50K. That's about a 60% drop. Even Bitcoin, in theory, if it follows its history, can end up somewhere in 35K. Now, I won't be too surprised, and I do think that that is your next generational buying opportunity. I do think that, like I said, starting to even just start buying a little bit now and add more and more as it dips isn't a bad idea. But I do think that if $75,000 on Bitcoin doesn't hold, then we are going to see much lower. Ethereum like I said, was talking about this little daily pennant here, and what happened? We rejected off the top of the pennant, broke down, retested it, and that's where we dumped this week. Um, you can see here, like it was a picture perfect. We had a demand here, rejected off the top of the pennant, tested demand, popped, and then failed that trend line. You know, I mean, guys, crypto does follow technicals sometimes even better than stocks do. Um, Ethereum is getting smoked even more than ever. Like really getting smoked today, down 12%. This 2100 area is the last, last line in the sand until we get back down into uh, the low thousands. 1300 is the huge demand. If we break 1300, then we may even test 800, like 900, But no matter what, especially names like this, which means so much to the blockchain and all that. Like Ethereum's never going to go to zero. I do think even, like I said, starting to buy now isn't necessarily a bad idea. But I do think if we break this 2100 in these upcoming weeks, then we will see much lower on Ethereum, especially with the way this chart's structured. We have highs, um, lower high. We get a lower high here, and now we have another lower low. So maybe even if we bounce off 2100 and then reject 2600, it can go even further. I know I covered XRP because I have some friends that are invested in XRP, and I did warn that this was going to happen on XRP as well. XRP had that, rally, that 3-day rally where it went up 30% in 3 days, and then since then it is down 34%. XRP is getting smacked around kind of even more than some other guys. XRP is down 57%, and bottom line is we broke this demand. We broke this 175, 180 demand. I think as if that doesn't reclaim, then hitting $1, which I said in my last video, does feel pretty inevitable, and I do think that that is where your buying opportunity lies. Solana. These are the only four names I go over in crypto. I don't care about altcoins. I don't really care about any other coins. Solana tested this previous. Solana is the weakest name out of them all, to be honest with you. XRP and Solana are the weakest names out of them all. Bitcoin and Ethereum haven't broken down that April tariff announcement lows. Solana is down 65% from highs. And if Solana breaks down this 95, 96 area, I mean, it's probably headed to 80. And that just is likely. Now that we have this test, if we pop, get a lower high, and break this, it's going to get weak. But same thing I said in my last week's video, guys. If you're willing to buy Solana at $300, buy it when it hits 75 or 80. You know what I mean? You can even start buying a little bit now and just dollar cost average as it goes lower. Same thing with Bitcoin. If you're willing to buy it at 100,000, buy it at 50,000 or even 35,000. If you're XRP, you're willing to buy it at $3.60, buy it at $1. Buy it at $1.50. I do think that these are going to give very, 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 very good buying opportunities. I am a believer long term in crypto, not like some of these people that think it's the you know most protected asset. Obviously, it's not. It's just a pretty much a very high leverage bet on U.S. equities. That's how it's played out. And it's very weak. So I think short term we still see quite a bit of pain on crypto, but start getting your cash ready, start loading on the dips. And I just wanted to make this video pretty much as a follow-up video to my last week's video talking about crypto and what I think is going to happen in the future in this space. But that's all I gotta say, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.